Welcome to this 77th Product Safety Educators Call. We have here Jacqui Nunez. She's going to be sharing with us the Agricultural Leadership Program and the impact of leadership training for agricultural supervisors and managers. So welcome to everyone. There. Just some brief instructions. Everybody is muted, but you can use the chat and you can also use the Q&A to share your comments, your questions. We really encourage you to share, to ask, to communicate anything that you want to share with us or with our guest speaker today. It is great to have this communication open for both ways. Feel free to use it. And then also the session is recorded, so don't worry if you missed a part or if you have to miss it entirely. We're going to record it and we're going to share with you in our website, in the Product Safety Educators group side of the website, but we're also going to share it when we send you the emails, the invitations, or any newsletter that we have published. We're going to share it there for you. Okay, so just today we're going to cover the topic that Jacqui Gordon is going to present for us. We're going to have a session of Q&A, so we'll do your questions, we'll answer your questions at the end of her presentation. And then we're going to share some updates from PSA and some upcoming events. Please stay till the end so you hear more about what's coming. Again, welcome back. We are very excited to continue these presentations, these webinars, to keep connecting with you, to keep bringing you these very interesting topics. And also, well, to let you know, this series is funded by the Local Food Safety Collaborative, so we're very thankful to them, because this let us open this space for all of us to share with you. Now, to introduce you to our speaker today, her name is Jacqui Gordon Nunez. She is from Ecuador. She is the Vice President of the Washington State Tree Fruit Association. And then she has been working in the association since 2016. She was formerly the Director of Training, Education, and Membership Services. And she is the co-founder of this agricultural leadership program, along with Ofelio Borges. So her education includes, she did a Master's of Science in Washington State University in horticulture, and she also holds a Bachelor of Science degree from the Escuela Politécnica Nacional in Ecuador. So welcome to Jacqui. Thank you for doing this for us, doing this presentation for us. I know this is a very interesting topic. And we are all are willing to, are hoping to hear and learn more about it. Thank you, Jacqui. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Mariana, for the introduction, and thank you to the entire PSA team for the invitation. I love to work. I have always loved to work with you guys, and I am very happy to be able to share today this presentation about the Agricultural Leadership Program. Mariana, can I share my screen now?
Yes, you can share now.
Perfect. So like Mariana mentioned, I am one of the co-founders of the Agricultural Leadership Program, and I will refer to it as ALP moving forward. Ofelio Borges is the other co-founder of the program. He is also the director of the Technical Services and Education Program in the Washington State Department of Agriculture. But unfortunately, he can't be with us today because of a family emergency. But both of us prepared this presentation and also founded the program together. So just a little overview of the presentation today. I will start with a quick background of the program. How did we come up with this idea and why? And then I will talk a little bit about the impact that the ALP has had in farming and with farm supervisors and managers in Washington State. I will talk about some of the achievements of the program over the last 5 years. And then I will give you a little bit of a taste of what the ALP is about. And I will cover a snippet of our conflict management class. Of course, we will only scratch the surface today because we do this over an entire day at the ALP, but I'll try to cover as much as possible on conflict management in agriculture, and we will have some time at the end for some questions. So, very briefly about Washington agriculture, probably many of you are familiar with agriculture in Washington state. We have many agricultural commodities in our state, and we have a big global impact and an impact in the economy of the United States. This is some data from 2024, 2025. And we, as agriculture alone, had $17 billion as a value, market value, from all the agricultural products exported from Washington. And $2 billion come from apples alone. So apples are a big crop in Washington state, as well as cherries, pears, onions, potatoes. So we are an agricultural state. And as an industry, we have more than 160,000 people employed every year. And this number comes from 2024. So in 2026, that number likely will be higher. And those are people that are employed year round, but also we have seasonal workers coming with H-2A visas. So, but they work almost the entire year here because harvest season in Washington state is from late May until middle of November. So almost all year. Now, why am I presenting this data from Washington Agriculture? And the number that I am more interested in showing you is this number here with 164,000 people employed in agriculture. Most of them are farm supervisors, managers, and their crews. And back in 2021, Ofelio and I used to talk about how it was a little crazy to think that there was not a leadership program directed for those hundreds and thousands of people. There are many leadership programs available now. It's great to see that there is a boom on leadership and there are a lot of leadership courses, but most of them are directed to upper management and farm ownership, not even farm ownership, manufacturing ownership. And agriculture is a different monster. And especially if we are talking about farm supervisors and managers, they face different issues that farm owners and upper management. So if we are talking, for example, about mental health, if we want to address mental health of farm owners, we are thinking of things like weather and economic decisions and the debt that they go into for the production of their crops, right? But if we think about mental health for farm supervisors and managers, they face other types of problems like gossip and sexual harassment and people arriving impunctual to work. It's like dealing with high schoolers. So it's a very different type of issue. So the methodology that we have to use with leadership is different. And we truly believe that leadership can have a big impact in the entire, in farming in general. So if we think about regulations, for example, when you have effective leaders in your farm, those people don't see regulations as obligations, they see them as opportunities. We don't have to really enforce safety compliance because these leaders really believe in safety and they want to send their employees home with their families and they want to go home with their families. They are trying to find a better balance between their work and their personal lives because agriculture is an industry that takes a lot of sacrifice, and we have seen many people that have lost their families because of their commitment to agriculture. So we are trying to teach them a different way to lead in agriculture. And everything else comes after leadership. If you want more efficiency, if you want more productivity, everything starts with leadership because when you have true leaders in your farm, they take initiative, they act proactively, they have integrity as one of their main values. So that's why in 2021 we created this program that actually started as a dream more than 15 years ago because Ofelio was a farm worker before he was the director of the TSCP. And he went through a very familiar pattern in the agricultural industry, and I'm sure it's a pattern in many other manufacturing industries. And if you have gone through this, please feel free to share a reaction, a thumbs up. But if you are a good worker or if you have a good employee, they are efficient, they learn fast, and they do a good work, they get promoted, and they all of a sudden they are supervisors. They don't manage any people at first, but when now they are moved to a supervisory position, they are managing from tens to hundreds of people in the case of agriculture, especially during harvest. And they are not given the tools to lead those people. And that's what Ofelio went through when he got promoted to be a supervisor 15 years ago, when he didn't really know how to regulate his own emotions or manage his stress or delegate appropriately or how to coach those people. So he wanted something different for agriculture. And when him and I met in 2021, specifically for the ALP, because we've worked together for more than 10 years, that's when we created the ALP. And before that year, there were no bilingual leadership programs specifically designed for agriculture in Washington State. And we have really seen how effective leadership has a positive influence in every aspect of farming. So the goals of our program, we have three different goals. The first one was to create leadership opportunities for farm supervisors and managers. Like I mentioned before, many of the leadership programs out there are directed for owners and upper management, but we wanted to create these opportunities for farm managers and supervisors. Our second goal was to establish strategies so that they could immediately implement their leadership skills after the course. We didn't want this to become another course where they get a manual and the manual is stored in their shelves and gathering dust. We wanted this to be something different and that they would have the tools to implement what they are learning right after every class. And we also wanted to develop leadership mentors for future generations in the ag industry. And we have seen that already. We see many of our ALP graduates mentoring other people and helping others. And we really believe that the ALP can take the agricultural industry to a different level. So just a general description of the program. This is a 3-month-long program, and we start with 40 hours of predetermined classes. So we meet once a week for 6 weeks. This is an in-person class, and we rotate through Jacqui, Wenatchee, and Tri-Cities. And then those 6 weeks are followed by another 6 weeks of practice, an assignment that our participants take home. They have a form where they will choose one leadership skill from the skills that they learned in the class, and they will work on that for the 6 weeks. We form a WhatsApp group so that we can keep in touch and we can support each other. We can help each other through those challenges that they will go through. And then they will come back at week 12 to do a presentation on their work and graduate from the ALP. And actually, graduation day is one of my favorite days of the program because our participants get to share how much they have grown personally, and they get to invite their families. For some of our participants, this will be the first graduation that they have ever had. I'm sure that many of you know this as working in extension and in education, that when working in farming, we have a very diverse group of people that come from different cultures or that have different literacy levels or educational backgrounds. So we make this graduation something very special where they invite their families and we make a toast. So we want to make sure that they remember this program as something that changed their lives. This program is done in English and Spanish, so every course that we design, we teach it concurrently in both languages. Now, here are some of the topics that we cover at the ALP. We start the program on day 1 talking about leadership principles, and I will share some of them later in my presentation. We talk about behavioral change, and this is one of the first things we tell our participants, that if they came to the program thinking that everyone around them has to change and the company has to change because nothing is working, but if they don't look inwards, that's the type of mentality that we want to change with the ALP, because change starts from inside out. So we cover some laws that will help them with that behavioral change and to make that change easy. On day 2, we spent the entire day talking about emotional intelligence, how to develop their self-awareness and self-regulation, and how to differentiate between empathy and sympathy and improve their social relationships. On day 3, we cover effective steps for effective communication. We spend a lot of time talking about active listening because we believe that communication should be more about listening than talking. And we also teach them how to have courageous communications. That's the name that we put them on the ALP, and many people know them as difficult conversations. Difficult conversations like providing feedback or like receiving feedback, any type of conversation that involves feelings. So we help them understand how to have those conversations without hurting other people or in a respectful way. On day 4, we cover core values. I will talk about values in a minute, and then we spend the rest of the day talking about conflict management with examples of conflict that happens in the farm. And on day 5, it's our mental health day. So the entire day we talk about stress and anxiety management with thinking about the agricultural industry. And finally, on day 6, we cover delegation and coaching. And coaching really covers everything that we have seen from day 1, because to coach people, you need emotional intelligence. You need to know how to help people change. You need to know how to communicate and especially how to listen. So coaching really takes everything that we have learned from day 1. And the entire program is designed with a specific flow, because if you want to manage conflict, for example, and if you don't have emotional intelligence or if you don't know how to communicate effectively, it's very difficult that you will actually manage that conflict in a way that maintains trust in the team. So what makes the ALP different from any other leadership program out there? First of all, we teach leadership as an activity and not an authority position. I will talk about this in a minute. And also this program, like I mentioned before, is bilingual, but it's also culturally inclusive. So we have a team of 9 people, 9 trainers. All of us are bicultural and bilingual. So we want to make our participants feel closer to home, and that means that we will have participants that are Hispanic, other participants that were born here, but their parents are Hispanic. And we have people that are like from here and their entire family are from the United States. But when we talk about culture, we are not just talking about the place where people were born and raised. We are also talking about dynamics like people being first generation going through college, or people having parents that just completed elementary school, or people that have worked in farming their entire lives. So when we talk about culturally inclusive, we talk about using examples that are relevant to the world around them and the way they see the world. And we want this program to resonate with them. This program is designed for frontline supervisors. So we use examples, like I mentioned before, of problems like gossip or impunctuality, or we see supervisors as that middleman in between upper management and the workers. So workers asking for a raise, but they can't offer a raise because they need the approval from upper management, and they are in between not knowing what to do and how to retain their workers, but how to please the upper management, right? So we have those type of examples. And this program is completely customized to agriculture. We have examples and case scenarios every day of the course. So we have had 10 bilingual courses so far. And like I mentioned before, a course includes a class in English and Spanish concurrently. So if in total we've had 20 classes, in reality, we've had 21 classes because one of our English classes didn't sell out early on. So we've had 21 classes in total, more than 50 companies served. And actually, Dalia, our training and education assistant, updated our numbers recently. And she said that we have actually served more than 80 companies. We've had 326 people graduate from the program. But the impact of this program goes way beyond these 300 and more people that have taken the program, because these people supervise thousands of people in their companies. So the impact of the ALP has gone through those thousands of people, and their family relationships have improved, their work environment has improved. So ALP is touching many more people than just the people that take the course. And we have been invited to teach leadership at a large scale. Something that I forgot to mention is that our classes are designed for no more than 15 people in each language, because our classes are highly interactive. So you will see people talking in pairs or in groups, or doing role plays of a conflict, or a role play related to agriculture. So we have people share their experience, share their issues, and we couldn't do that with more than 15, 16 people in the class. So we have been invited to do conferences for a larger audience. So earlier this year, we taught a leadership class to more than 600 people in 3 different locations. And then we did our first ALP conference in February for more than 200 people, where we had different modules and people rotating through the modules. This was bilingual, English and Spanish, and it was just a great experience to have people experience the ALP, even if they are not able to come to the class itself. So a little bit on the impact of the ALP, we hired the program UDOF Panache. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They are the Pacific Northwest Safety and Health Program at the University of Washington, and they developed a behavioral assessment following scientific methodology to measure the behavioral change in our participants from the start of the program till the end when they graduate. And they are right now analyzing the data. So we are very excited to see those changes throughout the classes. But their preliminary data already show that there is an increase in confidence in all of our participants. And every leadership skill, they have also seen an increase and a very positive change. So the ALP is achieving something that no other program has before, which is behavioral change, and not only providing a better work environment for people, but we have seen many family relationships improved, which is an amazing change in agriculture. Like I mentioned before, a lot of people that come to our program are already divorced, or their kids, they never spend time with them, because agriculture is an industry that is sacrificed, and there's that stigma that to work in agriculture, you need to sacrifice your personal life in your family. And that's changing after the ALP. We have people with better relationships with their kids, with their significant others, providing a better environment for their people. And many people report life-changing effects from the ALP, and I am a testament of that. The ALP has truly changed my life. So that's a quick background of the ALP. Now I want to give you the ALP experience, and I am going to cover a few of the topics that we cover at the ALP in the way that we would teach them to our participants. And I will focus most of the time that I have left on conflict management. But first, I wanted to do a quick activity, and I would like to ask all of you to please share in the chat with us, what is leadership to you? And you can also respond this question or this other question, that if you think about people that have been great leaders, how have they shown up as leaders? What are the characteristics that they have displayed as leaders? I would love to see some of those comments. Mariana, if you can please share with me what people say. So what is leadership, and what are some great characteristics of great leaders that you have encountered?
Sorry. Okay, so they say they listen, they are a good listener, they inspire people to make changes, influence those around them to achieve a common goal, someone that is not judgmental and you can always count, to be honest. There's trust. It's the people that help them attain their goal. Competency and caring. I think I missed a few in the beginning, but
Yes, those are great characteristics. Most of them, I hear characteristics that people refer to them as soft skills, and I actually think those are life skills. Those are not soft skills, and we should try to change that name. But But yeah, that's exactly it. So when we talk about leadership at the ALP, we are talking about an ability. It's not a title, and a lot of people think about leadership as an authority position. So you will often hear leadership in the company has decided to go this way, or leadership in the company, the leaders of the company have decided to purchase this or make a change in the farm. So leadership is often associated with authority. We see it differently at the ALP. We see leadership as an ability, as a skill, as an activity that is available to everyone. So leadership is not tied to our job title. Leadership really means engaging others, just what you shared on the chat right now. Those great leaders that you think about, displaying integrity and respect and listening to other people and helping others achieve their goals. That's exactly what leadership is. Leadership is positively influencing other people. I heard one of those responses to that was helping people make positive changes. That's the power of influence. Many people confuse leadership also with control. So if I am the farm supervisor, then now I have the control over this many employees that I have. If I have an employee that arrives late, now I can write them up and use my disciplinary process to give him three different warnings before I can fire them. And we think that we can control people, but in ALP, we tell our participants that control is just an illusion. We cannot control other people because that person that arrives impunctually to our work, to our farm every day, we might be giving them warnings and writing them up, and they might be committing to a change, but the moment they turn around, they are insulting us, right? Or we meet at Walmart and we can't say hi to each other because we hate each other. So leadership is actually having a positive influence on people. And I say positive because influence can go the two ways. We can influence negative values to other people as well. Like if we like gossip, for example, we are going to influence gossip in our employees. If we like conflict, we are going to influence that conflict in our workplace. So we need to influence positively to others. We inspire others and we mentor and coach other people. As a leader, you can do those three different things: train, mentor, and coach. Those are three completely different concepts, and you can do those three through leadership. Now, we have a philosophy in the ALP, which is called When Everyone Leads. And this is taken from a book called When Everyone Leads, the most challenging problems are solved and seen. I am leaving the authors here at the end of below in the slide. So you can look for that book. It's a book that I recommend to anyone. It's a wonderful way to see leadership. So in this book, leadership is seen as an activity, like I mentioned before. So if we have a tractor driver, that person is not just a tractor driver. That's a person that is contributed with $2 billion as a market value in Washington's agriculture. The concept of everyone leads doesn't limit us to our job title and our job description. So a farm owner, if they see garbage in the farm, they can pick it up. It's not part of their job description, but that's leadership. And if I have a tractor driver, they can also come up with ideas and tell those ideas to their supervisors. Same with the irrigation leads and the people who are harvesting, because they are there in the farm every day, so they can see how to implement some changes that are actually useful for them. So leadership is having that initiative to think of new ideas and build trust with your team. And this philosophy is something that we want our people to really take with them, because when you have leaders in your farm, it's like you have eyes everywhere. You have eyes everywhere helping you improve and grow and help your company grow. Now, there is a caveat with everyone leads, and that is that this philosophy is only possible to implement if you, as the main lead, encourage a culture that is not based on competition and fear. So, for example, if I am the supervisor and if I see everyone as a threat, I won't teach them everything I know, and I don't want them to grow more than me or to become better than me because I'm afraid of that competition. Because I am always thinking about competing with others. I can't stand my coworker becoming a supervisor before than me. Or in my case in the ALP, I won't train a trainer to become a better trainer than me. That's the fear of a culture in competition. And if you have that mentality, you are not going to be able to implement everyone leads in your farm or in your company. This concept applies to every industry and any industry. So you really want to see, in this case, you really need to see or want to see your employees grow. You want to see your employees become better than you. That actually you should feel a lot of pride in seeing your employees growing more than you. So we encourage this concept a lot in the program. And we also address the difference between leadership and management because both of them are completely different. You manage things, you lead people. A manager organizes the schedules, they organize harvest, they organize the crops, and they organize the rotation of the people. They control those schedules, and they are worried about the how and the when. A leader innovates. A leader is thinking of new ways to do things. They don't have a script that they follow, and you often hear in farming, oh, this is the way we have done it for the last 15 years or 20 years, and I've been a supervisor for 15 years, so this is the way we are going to do it. That's not leadership. A leader is always innovating, is trusting their team members to come up with new ideas and to help the company grow, and it's more worried about the what and the why. And you know that with the PSA philosophy of teaching why food safety is important and why we need to prevent contamination, that's exactly what a leader does. They explain the why, and they are not just giving orders to people. Now, there is a difference between the type of problems a person can have in the farm or in their company. There are technical and adaptive problems. And one issue that the managers tend to have is that they treat every problem as a technical problem. A technical problem is something that can be solved very easily through authority or through skills. Let's say, for example, a porta potty is leaking. How do you solve that? You call an expert and you have that expert fix the leak, right? Now, that's a type of technical problem. You can solve it through skills or authority. Adaptive problems are very different. Adaptive problems is something like you have gossip in your farm, or you have people that after training, they do not understand how to do color picking of a certain apple variety. So you have those type of issues that involve people and that are complex and that cannot be solved easily through skills and authority. And a person who treats adaptive problems as technical problems stays in management. Leadership addresses both issues differently because adaptive problems need leadership and they require a lot of curiosity to really understand the root of the problem. So here is a very handy table where it explains the difference between technical and adaptive problems. So like you can see here with technical problems, they are clear, their solutions clear, experts and authority can resolve that problem, and the type of work is efficient and it's done as soon as possible. The expectation is that you fix the problem with confidence and skill. An adaptive problem is completely different. An adaptive problem is not necessarily clear. It requires learning. Let's say that there is an issue, a conflict between two of the pickers. Both of them will have different versions of the problem. Both of them will understand the problem differently because they see the world differently. Let's think about a class that we are having together in person in a classroom. And if I ask the people in each corner of the room to take a picture of the class, and then I also have a drone taking a picture from the roof, each of those pictures will look differently, right? because they are taken from a different angle in the class. Same thing with adaptive problems. We have different angles, different points of view from the same problem. So it requires for you as a leader to learn and investigate about that problem. And it's not solved by just one person, the authority. It's solved through input from different stakeholders and workers around you. You need to act experimentally. Some of the things that you come up as a solution may work, some others not. And the timeline is not a solution right away, but you are looking for solutions that will take place in a longer term, because the expectation is to make progress, not to just fix the problem. So that's a way to see the difference between management and leadership. But managers can develop those leadership skills because we need both. We need managers and we need leaders. And great managers can become great leaders as well. And these are some of the characteristics that a good manager can develop to become leaders. They need to have vulnerability, be able to say, I messed up, or I don't know the answer, or because there is a lot of fear in management that if I don't have all the answers, then why did people choose me to be the supervisor, right? So there is not enough vulnerability, but actually vulnerability is one of the most powerful leadership tools that you can have at your hand. Now, a leader also is very clear of their values. I will talk about values in the next slide, but you need to know what are the most important things to you so that you can align that with your job. A good leader needs to have the ability to change, to communicate effectively, and to manage conflict in a way that maintains trust with the team and not destroys the organization. So why values? I talked about personal values and why are they related to leadership? Well, knowing your personal values and especially your core values should be something required as knowing your ID and your first and last name. You should know what is most important to you so you can align that with your work, with your relationships, with everything around you. Because our values guide our behavior and our thoughts. They guide how we behave in society. And we only have 2 or 3 core values that really define our identity. So if someone sees me coming to a conference, for example, and they see, oh, here comes Jacqui, or she's a very punctual person, or she is a person that is very respectful. So my actions reflect these 2 or 3 values that I display with people that know me, right? So knowing your values is very important because they have a big impact in resolving conflict easier or avoiding conflict altogether. I can have a huge list of values that I think are important to me. For example, humility, respect, integrity, punctuality, honesty. But all of us only have 2 or 3 that guide every action, each of our actions. So in my case, my 3 core values are faith, gratitude, and human well-being. Now, when we teach people how to find their core values at the ALP, we tell them that their values are their most important things for them, and a lot of people tend to choose family. Now notice that I didn't mention family as one of my core values because I use my 2 or 3 core values to protect what's most important to me, which is my family, my life, my learning. So I invite all of you to really find those core values, because when you have alignment between your core values and the work you do, that's your happy place. And you help people find their happy place. Because the thing is that all of us have different core values. If we only have 2 or 3 values that are truly important to us, we will have different values. Your workers will have different values. Your kids, your family will have different values. So we tell our participants that if they have teenagers and they can't understand each other, it's probably because they have different values, and we are talking to our kids in our own values. And it's like talking in different languages. Same thing happens with conflict. When you are not talking in the same in the values of the other person, you are talking a different language to them. So let's just cover very briefly conflict management, because I only have like 5 minutes left before questions. So, again, in the chat, please share with me, what is conflict? What do you think is conflict? Mariana, I would appreciate if you can share any answers that come to the chat, please.
Sure.
I'm sure all of you have conflict. I like even today, this morning. What type of conflict did you have? Maybe you didn't have coffee in the morning. That's a conflict.
When ideas don't align, there's
Okay.
another one, happens when two or more people do not agree. Maybe it's
Disagreement.
a misunderstanding,
Mm-hmm.
expectations versus reality, when
Okay.
words are misunderstood.
Misunderstanding. Yes. Is conflict something bad? Can someone share, please? Is conflict bad or good? What do you think, Mariana? Is
I
conflict
think
good
it's
or bad?
good.
It's
I think
good.
conflict is
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be good.
Just a natural thing.
Yeah.
Can
It's
be
a
either.
natural thing. Yeah. It can be good or bad. Absolutely.
Yeah, it
Thank you
says,
so much.
and I think
Yeah.
don't nail it on how I also think it can be productive, but it feels awkward. So yeah,
Oh, it can, yes, it can be
yeah.
uncomfortable. Absolutely. Conflict can be uncomfortable. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your help, Mariana. So, first of all, I want to make a distinction between conflict and problem because those are not the same thing. Now, this can be a little bit of a tongue twister. Not every problem is a conflict, but every conflict is a problem. Now, let's think about a problem. For example, a tractor breaks down. That's a problem, but it's not a conflict. I know how to fix it. We come back to the concept of technical problems and adaptive problems, right? But if my tractor driver arrives late 2 days a week, that's a conflict, which is also a problem. So usually problems are something that you have where there is no people involved. The moment people is involved, then that's a conflict. And we need to be able to distinguish both of them. A conflict, like many of you shared, is something natural that happens when we interact with other people. It's not necessarily something bad. It's just different opinions. There can be conflict in schedules. There can be conflicting values. It's just a natural part of interacting with others. The problem is that many people confuse confrontation with conflict, and that's why they see it as something bad. And if you address conflict in a destructive way, absolutely, it can be deadly for your organization. But there are also constructive ways to address conflict and actually maintain the trust and the connection in your team. Now, when we look at a conflict, we usually focus on this upper part in the iceberg where you only see the problem. What happened? This coworker is gossiping about this other coworker who is she's talking badly about her, or you have this person um who is having issues with sexual harassment with another employee, or this employee is asking for a raise and I can't give them the raise. So we focus in this upper part of the problem where there is a lot more to learn in a conflict. So let's do a quick activity so we can understand a little bit of what's underneath the water. So I want all of you to picture a tree in your head. Let's do a play role. I'm your supervisor. All of you are my employees. And I'm asking you to please picture a tree in your head and share those details in the chat. What does that tree look like? The size, the color, share as many details as you can of that tree in the chat, please. And then, Mariana, if you can please help me telling me what those trees look like. Again, I'm your supervisor and you are my workers.
Brown trunk and branches with green leaves.
Okay, green leaves, round trunk.
The size of a magnolia tree with large leaves and provides shade.
Okay, a magnolia tree. What other trees do we have in our team?
Hawaii oak. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Large branches, silvery green leaves, and huge canopy.
Okay,
Then
huge
one more.
canopy.
It's my tree has strings of lights and ornaments.
Oh, a Christmas tree. Okay, well, I have to tell you guys that I am very disappointed in all of you. Shame of you, because this is the tree that I wanted. What happened? What was the problem? Because this is what I wanted. I asked you for a tree and you gave me a Christmas tree. What was the issue? Can someone tell me what was the problem, please? What was wrong? I thought I gave you training.
It says communication.
Oh, okay. Communication. What was the problem with communication?
Um, you did not suggest we were reading your mind.
Okay, you are not
Communication
mind
and
reader.
expectations. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
my expectations. Okay, okay. We are getting to the good stuff here.
Yeah, no expectations were set.
Yeah, I didn't tell you what type of tree I wanted, right? And that's usually something that happens very often with supervisors, that we tell people, we tell our workers what we want, but we are not clear with our expectations. And that's part of what's beneath that water when we focus in the conflict, where we really have a learning zone. We need to understand what were the expectations of the supervisors, because our workers cannot read our minds. And if we have a misunderstanding in communication, it's not the receiver's fault, it's the sender's fault. I was not clear with my communication, obviously. And we ended up having a conflict. All of our trees look different. I gave you a command, and then we had something completely different from what I had in my mind. So, as supervisors, we need to really get into this learning zone when we have a conflict, where we understand what are the emotions involved in that conflict, what are the different expectations from everyone in that conflict. When did the conflict start? Because from each of us, the conflict would start at different points, like that picture of different angles in the classroom. So during conflict, you need to see more than just the problem that is on the surface. Because when you are not willing to learn about that conflict, what happens is that we stay in this artificial harmony, where I have a worker arriving late 2 days a week, and I just write them up. I give them a warning. I give them a second warning, and I'm thinking, yes, I have the problem under control. He's not arriving late anymore. But again, I go to this example where I ended up firing him, and then we see each other at Walmart, and I'm hiding behind the shelves. I don't want to say hi to him because I feel bad for firing him. He feels bad for leaving the company, or even worse things happen. Here in Washington, a few months ago, a person went and killed a supervisor because he felt mistreated by him. A lot of supervisors here use authoritarian leadership and mistreat others. And we don't want to get to this other end of conflict management where we have to yell at people and insult people to resolve conflict. We can actually get out of that artificial harmony where it gets a little bit uncomfortable. We will talk about the impunctuality. We will talk about that conflict that you and I are having, but we are actually trying to get to a negotiation point and not go to this destructive side where we are going to destroy our relationship. So what we teach, the methodology that we teach at the ALP is called the win-win process, where we actually follow 4 different steps to achieve a solution where everyone wins. If one of us is not completely satisfied with the solution of the problem, then we have not solved the problem. One of us is losing, and we don't want a solution that one of us is losing. I don't have time to cover this process entirely, but I will just tell you that the number one step, separate the person from the problem. If you have a person who is not understanding, if I have Mariana doesn't understand how to do color picking, and I keep asking Mariana, put more red apples in the bin. You are putting too many green apples. Mariana, more red apples in the bin. What's the problem? It's Mariana. Mariana doesn't understand the training. The problem is not Mariana. Separate the person from the problem. The problem is that I have a lot of green apples in the bin. Okay, so what do we do? I need to get together with Mariana and have her understand the problem from the same point of view. We need to stay on the same side and look at the problem with the same vision and try to understand it so we can solve it together. And then we can actually brainstorm solutions together. Because if I just tell Mariana, keep working and do more training and do this. Look, it's easy. I have a lot of red apples in my bin. You don't understand. And then I'm insulting her values. So by following a win-win process, you can actually achieve a solution where everyone wins. I would love to spend more time on this process, but we are not going to be able due to a lack of time. But you can learn more about the ALP by scanning this QR code that will take you to our website. And you can learn more about what we do at the ALP, or you can also go to alp-wa.com. And you can also email Ofelio and I. We have our contact information here. If you have any questions, we are thinking of doing some private courses for companies that have been requesting that. So if you are curious about that, please feel free to email us and ask about that. And with that, I really appreciate the time that you have given me today, and I will take any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacqui. I expect to see the questions here. Please put them in the chat or in the Q&A. Let me see if there's any in the Q&A. I don't think I have any open. But I do have a question that came from registration that I can do right away while people start typing their questions. And one is, how is this program funded? And who is there any prerequisites for this program? Or I think you said you will do it for private companies, but it's open to whom and how?
Yes. So funding is a difficult conversation. That's one of the courageous conversations I need to have with. So we used funding from grants to create this program, and we've been working with grants because this was another training program offered by the Department of Ag and WISFA. We have done that for 10 years. But the ALP became a program that grew out of our hands. It has been growing so much because of the impact that has been having that we can't keep up with grants anymore. And now we are looking for sustainable funding so that the ALP can become its own thing. So something like the Agricultural Leadership Institute or something like that, because we are not able to address the need anymore with our 2 courses a year. Now we are being asked to do ALPs for 50 supervisors here in this farm and 50 in this other farm, and they are inviting us to do conferences. So we need full-time people for this program, and that's what we are looking to. We are looking to do a legislative proposal in 2027 to see if we can get sustainable funding. In the meantime, we are not having a public ALP in the fall. We usually have an ALP in the spring, one in the fall. We are taking a pause, taking a break right now until we find that funding. And hopefully we get that legislative proposal to pass so that we can really address the needs that we have with the ALP now. Not with prerequisites, we don't have too many. We just ask people that they work in the agricultural industry in some capacity, because like I said, all of our examples are ag related. So if you don't work in ag, it might not be as relevant to you. We don't have like a certain amount of time that you have had to work in ag, just be involved in ag. And the other requisite is that you take the 6 classes and come to graduation. Like we really want everyone, like I mentioned before, if you miss the emotional intelligence day and you come to conflict management, you might not understand that you are missing that piece. So we really want everyone to come the 6 days.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Jacqui. Great. Very complete on that information part. Betsy, I think raise your hand. I don't know if you have a comment or a question, Betsy.
I have a question, actually. First of all, Jacqui, that was fantastic. Really, really good. Thank you for doing that. One of your very first slides showed 32,000 farms and 164,000 workers. And I was curious, it was on your slide that said like Washington agriculture. So I was curious, are those 2 stats Washington specific stats? Like Washington has 34,000 farms and 164,000 workers just in Washington?
Yeah. Those are just Washington statistics that you can find in the Washington State Department of Ag. And we are losing farms, though. It's a really sad situation for the entire industry. And in Washington, our industry is facing a really tough time right now. We are losing a lot of those farms. especially small farms, are being bought up by bigger companies. And the reason why we have so many people employed in agriculture is because we have also a lot of seasonal workers that come with H-2A visas.
Super. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Well, thank you. Thank you again to Jacqui. I'm going to start sharing my screen just to keep on time.
Okay.
But if you have any more questions, thank you, Jacqui, for sharing your email. I'm sure that you will be able to answer those questions if they get to you by email. And if not, then you can send them to me too. I'm going to share my email here. Quick update. We are still working on the V2 or version 2 of the curriculum. We thank you for your input again. It is very important for us that you keep sharing with us anything that you have in mind for this new curriculum. I just was talking to someone about agricultural water and testing frequencies, thinking of how we can add this to our curriculum. It will be great to have them. And with that in mind, we have a question for you because we're thinking of how to share some resources within the curriculum. So I'm gonna release this poll to you, and then you can see how then you can answer this question for us. It's a very quick question, and it is: do you know any growers who are using their cell phones as their only source or tool for record keeping? Do you know growers that are actually using their phones to do any record keeping? Whether it's an app or whether it's a Google Doc that they carry with their cell phones. And this will help us in that part of how we share the required records, the FISMA PSA required records, and we're looking into those options. And if you have those growers, if you can share more about it, for example, yes, they're doing it through an app. Yes, that's the only reason they only access to internet, and that's how they're like sending their data to their computers. Anything like that will be very helpful for us. Because as I said, we're deciding on some of the formatting of our slides and the curriculum itself. Okay, the PSA funding for next year has been communicated. We're still working on our objectives and the funding is still not in place. We are anticipating to launch V2 with this new funding and reopening the lead trainer and the trainer of trainer application portals. I know someone asked about the timeline for this. We don't have a timeline yet for reopening the lead trainer application portal, but we hope that in the coming months we will have something more clear as we move into that next year. For our next Educators Call, we're going to have Dr. Shirley McAuliffe from University of Maryland. She's coming in September 30. As some of you might remember, we tried to have these presented some weeks ago, but now she's ready to present on September 30th, 2 to 3. The registration will be shared with you as always through our emails, and you can also go into our website and find these. And of course, Jacqui's presentation and any other presentation that we have done will be recorded and stored in these Product Safety Educators Call Group websites. We welcome your input. As I said, I'm sharing here my email. You can send me any questions that you have for our speakers, but also any topics that you would like to see presented here in this Educators Call. We're going to try to continue doing these as often as we can. So please share any topics that you would like us to be covering in these these presentations. The website is here for you. For those of you who like to see it in Spanish, there's also the Spanish website. We're going to have Jacqui Gordon presenting again in Spanish this coming Tuesday. So if you want to see this webinar again, you're welcome to register for it. And thank you all for being here. Thank you to Jacqui, and thank you for the PSA team who is also here as panelists and who has been supporting the work that we do to present you this Educators Call. So thank you all. And I see an invitation there in the chat. So see, we keep being part of a group, a pretty group that will play a part of learning and keep communicating, as you said, Jacqui. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day.